Thank you to FE Battery Metals for sponsoring a portion of this video.
Today we introduced some amazing new Macs and showed you where we're taking the incredible software platforms that drive our products. It's already been a big day, but we do have one more thing.
Hold on, Tim. Are you sure about that?
So, this is what we're up to today, and I'm really glad you liked everything. But there is one more thing.
For 25 years or so, those 3 words echoed a powerful message from Apple's CEO. It signaled to everyone to listen closely because the next announcement was going to be big. So when Tim Cook said those words, the world was paying attention. And what he introduced is one of the most powerful and technically impressive products Apple has ever made. So what is Apple's vision for Vision Pro? Is it Apple's next big thing that will change our lives like the iPhone? Or is it destined to fall into the fate of something like the HomePod, too over-engineered and too limited to become the hit that Apple envisioned it to be?
Hi, I'm Kent Sherman, Senior Editor here at CNET.com.
I'm Donald Bell.
And we're here with our very first look at the Apple iPhone.
I just wish it was a standalone iPod and not a feature that's just within this expensive phone.
You don't have to go too far back into YouTube time capsule to see that when the original iPhone launched, it was not universally loved, much like this thing in my eye. So love Apple or hate them, almost everyone sees the iPhone today as a device that changed the world. It made smartphones smarter, sleeker, and faster. And the launch of the App Store in 2008 wasn't just like a little side project for Apple. It matured into now a multi-billion-dollar industry. But every time Apple's made a big move, like launching the iPhone, the iPad, removing the headphone jack, or the home button, pockets of the internet are quick to light up and criticize them for making terrible mistakes, and I am among them. The devices are too expensive, they're missing features the competition already has, complaints can go on and on and on. And this is not to say that Apple always gets it right. Far from it. But I do think Vision Pro, and really WWDC as a whole, is Apple turning the page on a new chapter in their story and launching them into a new era that's going to try to make good on what people expect for them.
This year, we looked across the entire iPhone experience to provide delightful new features that make the things you do on iPhone more personal and intuitive.
So even if we put aside the entire Vision Pro announcement from WWDC, the event was packed with some major announcements that were not just there to fill time, but give Apple users things they actually want. 15-inch MacBook Air, for example, that is a big one for me. I love the power, design, and slim form factor of the MacBook Air, but always wanted a bigger screen up until, a few weeks ago. My only option for anything above a 13-inch screen was a MacBook Pro that was like double the price. Even if someone didn't need any of the Pro features, just wanted a bigger display, they were forced to spend significantly more money to go for the MacBook Pro just for that larger display, but not anymore. The 15-inch Air doesn't have ProMotion or a high-end chip or 4 USB-C ports, but it doesn't need to. Starting at $1299, it is a great computer. And the 13-inch Air got a price drop, something Apple almost never does. And you combine this, some of the big new features of iOS 17, watchOS, iPadOS, to me it clearly shows something new from Apple. It's a company that is listening to its customers, trying to deliver to them a product and features that they want. More customization options and things like Final Cut on the iPad are things we've been asking for years, and finally, Apple's doing it. And for decades, especially through the Steve Jobs era, Apple operated as a one-way street. They knew what was best and what you wanted before you wanted it. And that's definitely still a part of the company today, but I think a much bigger part wants to listen to customers and give them what they want. We've seen Apple switch away from form over function. They're lowering prices, they're adding ports, even allegedly switching from Lightning to USB-C. Apple is not perfect, but it seems like they are trying to be better.
Can't innovate anymore, my ass.
So Phil Schiller's famous line gave us a glimpse at the reality that Apple's employees live every day. And it seems like a never-ending cry from Twitter and YouTube comments is that Apple is boring, they stopped innovating, and they're just phoning it in on new releases. Apple Vision Pro seems to be a direct response to that, because this thing is entirely new. For everybody who's claiming that Apple is boring, it couldn't make anything exciting, this launch begs to differ. And as polarizing as its design and its price might be, there's no denying this is different and new. Apple is packing this thing with a eye-watering, pun intended, amount of custom tech. You've got a Mac level processor here, dozens of cameras and sensors. We're all here to deliver what should be a totally new experience. And it's also very easy to fall into the Apple marketing hype machine, the reality distortion field. But even if this thing is a total flop, you can't say Apple didn't give it everything they've got. And it's clear an enormous amount of time, money, resources went into building this. And like you, I got some thoughts. I'm gonna take a break from Apple for a second, talk about what might be Apple's next product, or at least something that's gonna go into it. Weirdly, lithium. So I don't know how you guys fall on electric cars, whether you love them or don't like them, but the demand for lithium, which is in the lithium-ion batteries, is bonkers. Everything electronic is pretty much powered by lithium, showing no signs of slowing down. And as somebody who's kind of always eyeing the market, looking for opportunities, looking to potentially invest in lithium is something a lot of people are considering. So there's a company called FE Battery Metals that's been kind of buying land all over, kind of going with the longer play that the big giants may want to ultimately acquire that land as the mines tend to get bigger and bigger, because the demand for lithium is not going to be going away. It's tried and tested playbook, right? You go where the big dogs are, there's a big rush, grab the land, and sell it for a bunch of money. FE Battery Metals has a market cap of just around $7 million. The Quebec government is targeting $7 billion in private and public investment in the lithium battery sector during this decade. Companies including BASF and General Motors are announcing facilities. If you are in the market looking for alternative investments, check out FE Battery Metals as a pure play for lithium. Their ticker on the US markets is FEMFF. This sentiment might not age well, but I don't know how much I'm going to want to wear a face computer. I can see all the cool things it can do. I can see the use cases and awesome to watch video on an airplane and have multiple things show up in front of me to work, and the gestures with your hands are really cool. But taking away from the fact that you are wearing something on your face, strapped on, that is bound to get uncomfortable. Take all that and it's tethered to a small battery pack. It's gonna give you about 2 hours of untethered battery time. That's not the greatest right there. When we get version 2, version 3, maybe just a regular Vision without the Pro attached to it, is when components get smaller, they can figure out battery life, make it more efficient, perhaps be something that I would want to wear on a daily basis. Now again, saying that, having never tried this on, I have a hard time still seeing the use case. I was hoping there would be a killer feature that would make this a must-have. For me, if that Disney demo with sports ends up being true, where you can sort of see replays in basketball, and if I can watch a football game and almost be like I'm on the 50-yard line, then I'm in. But until those things come, at least for me, I don't see a killer use case for this. I think this is very much a developer edition, meant to get developers hands on it, and the next versions should probably be more consumer focused. At the end of the day, whether you like it or not, Apple's move into this space is going to bring a ton of competition, and that's obviously great for everyone. Like the iPhone is rivaled by flagships by Google and Samsung, and the Mac line's got to compete with PCs. There are undoubtedly competitions going to take on Vision Pro that might be faster, might be lighter, might be cheaper, and offer an experience that's more in line with what you might be looking for. And it's also important to remember that this is not the final form or final price. This is very much a first-gen product. Over the next few years, the Vision will live, evolve, get to be better, and hopefully cheaper. And what we'll be left with is a new product line. And I don't think Apple's expecting to sell millions of these. I think they'd be very happy to sell 100,000 or a few 100,000 of them. But it does signal a change for Apple. And much like they started listening to their customers, they're also trying to branch out. It'd be very easy to just make every version of the iPhone for the next 30 years, but ultimately someone will come and beat them. Rome eventually fell, and Apple's looking to avoid that same fate. So I give them credit for trying something new. We'll see if that gamble is successful or not. I'm at least excited to try it and see if the future is really on my head.